Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep, where we are once more in the map editor in the cartographer, where we are creating this island loosely based on Jurassic Park. And it is, well, it's a big island. It's a big old island. Gonna be honest with you, if we back up or if we go up, she is enormous. She's big. In fact, so big in some places it actually touches the underwater abyss, the point at which everything kind of just drops away. It is, it's probably one of the biggest maps I've made. I know that sometimes people will just use the brush and push out towards all four corners, but then you end up with something like a square pizza. And nobody wants a square pizza. Pizzas are round for a reason. And this island has a very interesting coastline, which we are going to be working on today. But we have, based on Jurassic Park, we have the two hills. So if you watch the first film and you saw the helicopter flying towards the coast of Costa Rica, Jurassic Park, but whatever, you'll know that they had that. So we got the two hills. We have the raised walkway, which was, well, something out of Jurassic Park Trespasser, which is a video game that I played and apparently nobody else in the world did. So that's kind of interesting. We got the broken jetty. We have a boat made up of other boats, so kind of a complicated shipwreck. We have little houses on the island made up of boat superstructures. We have an inland stream with a source coming out of the mountain. We have the remains of paddocks, which may or may not have once held dinosaurs inside. And these things are a lot taller than they look in the editor. Huge, in fact. We have caves. We have, well, they're tunnels, but there are boats in the caves. We have offshore islands with little traps, little surprises, and maybe traps if you fail the jump and end up in the water with a shark. We have underground labs surrounded by trees. I mean, there are different kind of, not biomes, but different areas in the island look different. We got the sandy area, and then we've got areas, trying to get to there is going to be tricky. I'll explain that in a second. We have other areas where you can look down and see three different layers: the beach, the walkways, and the top of the hills. Three different layers of verticality. It's looking good. It's looking good. But there hasn't been an update for Stranded Deep since autumn last year. Fall last year, if you happen to be in Americana. No, America. North America. Canada. Do Canadians have fall, or is it autumn? I would bet they have autumn. I bet they have autumn. Okay, so, yeah, last time we were on this beach. Boop. And we said, it's too cold. It's too empty. It's too cold. There's not a lot going on here. It serves its purpose as a beach. It's the point at which the ocean meets the land, and there's sand here, but you know, it just doesn't feel right. So what we did is we added this groin using a walkway flipped on its side and these rocks, and it looks like there's a bit of human interaction. The sand is deeper on one side than it is on the other. It's having effect on terrain. It is pretty sweet. Then we added this offshore island made up of a cliff piece, a narrow cliff piece, put some foliage on top, and bingo bango, dunzo. This cliff piece, in the event of a storm, might get swamped by the sea. It is quite close to the land, so maybe not, but there's no island mesh on the inside. However, this island that we created does have a bit of island mesh on the inside of it, which means during a storm it cannot be swamped. So the waves will not swamp over the top of it. But we've kept it similar to other offshore islands that we've made. We've put a tree and some foliage and stuff. This one you can swim to. So if you go to this side, if you're swimming in the sea, you can actually get up on top of it. This one, not so necessary. I bet people could if they wanted to, but not entirely sure. There is one more over here with a little jumping puzzle, which has a lantern and some ally there. And if you fail the jump, well, it's super close to the abyss, basically. So if you fail the jump, you're swimming out of the sea, and you know what? There could be sharks in there. There will be sharks. We haven't put sharks in yet. That's definitely a thing that we're going to do. So what we've done on this island is we've created little things to a theme, and then we've reused them. So what we have is these steps made up of one of the small rocks. And then we've repeated the step motif here and here. And where else? Here. And kind of anywhere where you're like, oh, it's a bit steep. You want players to go up there. So here. And sort of down here. So yeah, by repeating certain motifs, certain ideas, it kind of trains players that, if you find this, if you find these little steps, there might be something at the end of it. Either, well, that's the camera. Either treasure, in this case, or in this case, you just have your little lookout, so you can look down upon the world, and it looks beautiful. So yeah, we spent a lot of time on this, which is hill 2 of the 2 hills. We have done a lot of decoration on it, and I'm actually really, really happy in the way it came out. Because if you remember, we just placed cliff pieces down and then just raised the land up, and it was like, well, it kind of works, but it also kind of doesn't work. Now I think it works really, really well. But this side of the island, yeah, this hill, very, very empty, and I think we'll kind of leave it empty because players, people in real life. You provide someone with a hill or a mountain, people want to get high. They want to get as high as they can. They don't want hill 2. Hill 2 is not that high. Hill 1, as high as you can get. And people will get high, and then they will stay high, and then they will build houses up here, because that's what people do when they're high. Good, I'm glad we could have that conversation. But also, there is a bit of a problem with the game. Like a cupboard? The cupboard? Said? Mentioned? Excellent. Like I mentioned, there hasn't been an update in a while, so we're going to spend some more time in the map editor. This island is very, very nearly done. We could throw some resources down and just release it and it'll be done. That's it. It's a fine island. Or we could spend time polishing the bits that bother us. And this beach here, that I keep coming back to, bothers me. It bothers me partly because it's one of the wider underwater areas that you can swim around on. We've got some stuff down here, but it just doesn't feel... This bit just doesn't feel right. It just kind of feels, again, empty and cold. It feels like the last beach on the island. We've added some bits and pieces, but it just doesn't feel usable, lived in. I don't know. There's something wrong with it. This feels much more well done, much better done. And the rest of the island has definite things going on. Like I said, boop. This bit, super close to the abyss. I mean, we are really pushing the limits here in terms of what we can do with an island. And now this area here is pretty sweet. It just feels better. So what we're going to do is take something like the steps, take something we've made before, and this groin, where the sand is higher on one side and lower on the other. In real life, groins are used to stop currents, sideways currents, sweeping sand off of the beach. So you usually have them in touristy areas or areas where you want to maintain things like the volume or level of sand on a beach. What we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of groins here, but we are very, very close to the item limits for things like buildings. So the Seafort Bridge, Seafort Bridge broken, we're already used up because we've been using them a lot for things like paddocks because they don't have the broken metal and stuff on them. So sparingly, we've used them. We've used them creatively, but that's donezo. We could probably squeeze another 1, 2, 3. Item limit reached. So we've got 3 of these that we can use. If we click off and click back on, we could technically squeeze another a 4th in, and then click off and click back on. It's a hard limit at this point. I'm not entirely sure about this one because we're kind of bugging the system in order to get Walkway 4 in. It would work in the game. It would definitely appear in the game, and you can do this same thing for the pine trees. You can squeeze 1 more in, and I think if we get rid of that, can I? Yeah, you can also clone 1 more in, but after that it doesn't work. So you can either click off and click on in the item bin, or you can just clone an extra 1 in to reach the hard limit. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to respect the soft limit. I don't know why there is a soft limit compared to a hard limit. I don't know. I'm also going to make sure objects are selected. So we're just going to assume that we've only got 3 of these. And the reason you have item limits is because you don't want so many pieces on an island that a computer has to render. Some computers, like this one, will be absolutely fine with rendering a ton of stuff on an island. Some people don't have a choice over the machine they've got. They might just have a laptop. It might not have been upgraded in a while, but they still want to play the game. And we are not going to discriminate. So we are not going to... we're going to respect the item limits, basically. There is a lot of areas. There are a lot of areas, sorry, where the island mesh or objects or rocks or whatever get in the way, so you can't see all the way across the island. Hopefully that's also going to... I mean, if occlusion is working, that's also going to reduce the amount of stuff that has to be rendered. That's another reason why you don't want people seeing directly from one side of the island to another. So, just a little top tip. Make it easy on everyone playing your map, or game, or world, or whatever you happen to be doing. So we've got these groins. We've also got the stuff underwater. Little tricky here, because we don't want to obstruct the stuff that's in that we've already placed. But we also kind of don't want to completely beans up. We're gonna have to get creative. I think I like the angle that these are at, actually. Super like it. So what I'm going to do is hit R to rotate. Oh yeah, I haven't done the controls. I'll tell you what, let's click on terrain and object. Let's do that so we deselect everything. We absolutely know we're not going to select anything. We're also not going to accidentally brush anything away using the terrain brush. So we are moving using W, S, A, D. We're using Q to go down, E to go up. We hold the right mouse button and it pans the camera. Cool. We interact with things using left mouse. We press T to transform, which means we can move it up, down, left, right, and forward and back. We use R to rotate, which means we can rotate it about its central axis. And we can, well, technically we can tap C to clone, but, you know, item limits, yo. Let's get rid of that. And those are the controls you need. Oh, you can also press delete, but delete or this icon on the far bottom right is actually a bin. It looks like a circle and a square balancing on like a set of scales because the bin icon's a little bit rubbish. I think the bin has a lid on it. I think that's the problem. We also got to be a little bit careful because when you get so many items on an island, sometimes the item you're moving, as soon as you let go, snaps into something in the background. Might be something completely the opposite side of the island. So, you know, got to keep an eye on what you're doing is what I'm saying. And before you're saving, and you should save often. Oh, there it's already done it. So we manipulated this and now it's selected that rock. Before saving, do save often. Obviously, if you are making a map or a world or anything that you're doing, do save often. But also, just eyeball what you've made and make sure you haven't just brushed a hole through the terrain or something before saving. It's sometimes because there's no undo, there's no Control Z, you can't undo a mistake. So if something gets completely and properly beansed up, sometimes it's better to redo something than to leave it in a sort of trying to fix something after it's broken. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do is, like the groin on the other side, we're going to move this so it's about a little bit's poking up above the water. So this first bar, the first bar is exposed, second bar is just touching the water, and everything else is underwater. Nice, absolutely brilliant. And something in the far distance is now selected. It's a tree, and we can tell there we go, it's a tree. The level of detail in the short palm trees is frustratingly broken in the map editor. Again, it's just one of those things, but it's, you know. I think by having these at an angle, what we could do is we could have them come out quite far. Oh, I've got to keep an eye on this thing. Every time I let go, move, let go, snaps to that rock. There's two things that I would like, three things I would like. First of all, not to have the light levels go up and down as if there's clouds in front of the sun, because when you're in the map editor, that is the last thing you want. You want to know the depth of the water. You want to know how things look. Great in the game, bad in the map editor. The other thing is being able to tab through items and actually have the item that you've selected stay selected, not jump over onto something, because that's frustrating when you've got a lot of objects. And the third thing is the speed of the camera, and I think we've already noticed this. So if I hold W, we're still holding W. The closer you get to an object, oh, there we go. The closer you get to an object, the slower you become, and as soon as you're released from the object and there's no objects behind it, you just shoot off towards the sun. You become Icarus. And I'm like, I don't want to be Icarus. Icarus slammed into the sea like he was trying to wipe out the dinosaurs. He just went straight in there. So we got these. So if you had them at an angle, we can make it super spooky. No, we can make it super spooky. No. We can make it... No. Not again. I'm going to flip them around 180. So they're the other way around. Oop. Oh, that's the other button. The button that we never talk about. If we press F, it's focus. Ooh, when is focus ever useful? When you have something selected on the other side of the island and you don't know what it is, if you tap F, it'll just take you there suddenly. Good. Good. I think the angle might be a little too sharp. Let's pull it out this way. We're sort of doing it in a bird's eye view. Okay, cool. Cool. How are we for sort of depth into the sea? So it means we can have these kind of fairly long groins, but they're not like fully out into the sea to a point where they are interacting with something we've already created. Very, very important. So what we're going to do is go to the bin, the objects toolbox, I guess. Also known as bin if you do video editing. Do we do video editing? Do I do video editing? I don't know if I do video editing. I don't know. We'll just press R, make that rotate. Press T. And then R again. Grab the red toggle. I'm doing it. I'm looking at it through the water. There's a lot of lensing going on. Oh man, there are some things even in the map editor that look really good, and the water lensing is one of them. So we're going to press C to clone, because we don't need to drag things out. Once we've got it in a certain direction, we'll just clone it. We want this ridge. We want this ridge to be locked into the end of the groin. There we go. So just hiding the metal as best I can, as if it's made of concrete, and the concrete's just kind of wearing away. We press C again, and we can use these toggles to move you into the thing that makes it go, hello. If we flip that, that's just kind of a sharper side, right? Rotate. Oh no, I've lost the groove. Oh no, found the groove again. Groove has been re-established. There it is. Cool. Good, excellent. That's actually what we need. C to clone. Boom. And booming is definitely happening. Okay. So what are we doing? What do groins do? If you missed the last episode or don't want to watch the last episode, or you should really watch the last episode, because it covers a bunch of stuff. All these episodes cover things. Yeah, groins basically hold sand on a beach. You see them in tourist locations quite often, or places where the beach erosion is being managed. And that is that there is a current hitting the beach at an angle, and in order to hold sand on, they put basically either wooden walls, I think usually wooden walls or stone walls, out into the sea, and that holds sand usually higher on one side than it is on the other along the length of the beach. That's all they do. It's a thing that they do, and that means that instead of the sand being washed away, washed down the coast to a different location, maybe even out to sea itself, you hold on to a height of sand so that tourists can come along and cover themselves in I want to say peanut butter, but that's not what you use. I don't think that blocks UV rays, harmful UV rays. There we go. Not peanut. What? Sunscreen. Why am I having such a hard time with sunscreen? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Okay, so we've got the groins. We've made them quite long, but they don't go out to sea that far. By putting them at an angle, by angling them, the angle of the groin is such that you can have it, so it's quite a long structure, but it doesn't actually go that far. Doesn't penetrate the sea all that much. So good. Well, I'm glad we could have these conversations. How are we? How are you? Everyone good? Everyone's good. I'm sort of clicking on terrain and sort of back again. Like my train of thought has just collapsed just hit the station and just completely vanished. So we're going to look at the sky. We're going to hit the cog. We're going to hit the display ocean. And the reason we do that, because if we don't do that and we do it now, and then the shadows become completely beansed. I don't know why. It's a thing. So display ocean off, on, then off. And then the shadows are all working again. It's just one of those things. It's a little bit frustrating. I've turned the ocean off because the brushes work better if you have because you can't see the blue of the brush through the water mesh. So the bit on top, the bit that you can see, the bit that lenses, is another like flat mesh, very thin mesh. And then usually when you're underwater, you'll have like a blue hue, which is we can just about see the blue hue. And you'll have like a fog layer, and the fog is what kind of simulates you being in water. Ooh, yeah. We have the set height brush selected. We're going to read terrain paint height. We're going to click. Well, actually, let's change the size of the brush down a bit so we can see what we're doing. We're going to click very close to the coast itself, to a fairly shallow area. Boop. The amount slider is probably okay, and then we're just going to brush out. I'm going to change the size up a little bit. Brush out, and that's only going to raise the height of the sand up to meet that the thing that we selected, because that's the thing that we did. We were that boy. So we're going to brush that out. Cool. And the important thing is there we go. Then we're going to click on the smooth height. Now we're going to create the size up. And create the amount up. The amount slider is inherited between all of these objects. So if you have raise and lower, and you have the amount all the way up, and you have lower selected, you are going to punch a hole all the way to the bottom of the map. Don't do that. You'll be sad, and then you'll have to reload your previous save, because trying to fix a hole like that is, well, it's a nightmare. It's not something we want to do. Kind of depends what you brush through, I guess. If it's flat terrain, that's fairly easy to fix. I'm going to crank that right up and really just get some action going here. So the reason we're smoothing this off is because we have this kind of ridge thing, or had this kind of ridge thing going. And it's unseeming. It just doesn't look right. So brush it up, smooth it off, brush it up, smooth it off. That is our mantra. That should be your mantra. Your mantra should be check the amount slider every time. Failure is not an option. Well, it kind of is an option, but you'll be sad if you fail the amount slider test. And the only person taking the test is you, and the only winner and loser is you. So good. That's another conversation we just had. And I hope everyone feels happy for it. Okay, so we're going to use low. Oh no, the amount slider. That is at a point where it would be devastating. Let's move it all the way down. I mean, I'm going to say it every time. And the reason I'm going to say it every time is because it is genuinely devastating when you've made an island and you've got it set wrong, and you're just doing something very delicate, and then it gets completely messed up. So what we're doing is we've created something. We put something in the sea, and if we look up above it, We put something in the sea, and we have it is now having an effect on the environment. So if we turn the water back on, the sand is a lot lower on this side than it is on this side. It's a lot deeper here, and we can see that easily. I'm going to hit object so we don't actually brush something. Standing here, oh look. Well, for a moment you could, until the sun disappeared. Oh no, the clouds in front of the sun. What are you doing? So it's a lot deeper there, and it's a lot shallower there. You could probably splishy splash without even going into the swimming animation for quite a way here, whereas if you did that here, oh, you're straight into the swimming animation. It can be refined a little bit, and I think that's what we're going to do, so that the actual beach comes out a little bit more on one side than it does on the other. But yeah, and you should be able to see the effects from up here. Yeah, good, you can. So now we've done the sort of underground brushing. We're going to hit on terrain. We're going to hit on raise and lower. We're going to hit raise and make sure the mountain is down because, you know, sadness ensues. Then we're just going to brush here. There we go. It's better. It's better. So you end up with a coastline looking a little bit like the waves themselves. Oh, it's beautiful. It is. Raise and lower. Again, raising it up. I really wish that we could have better control over the light. It's so not good to be fighting sunlight when you're doing stuff like this. Okay, cool. I'm brushing it back here, so deliberately exaggerating what's going on because of how much effect this is obviously having. Oh, that's lower. I want to raise how much effect this is having on the old beach. Cool. Raise that up. Raise that up. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, cool. That looks a lot better. Raise. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's much better. Ah, brilliant. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Brilliant. And absolutely freaking brilliant. So we're going to go and look at the sky. Turn the ocean off. Make sure the shadows aren't completely beans. Have a little look and see what's going on. Click on the smooth height. Let's change it up because smooth works best with a little bit more power behind it. And smooth the ass off of this. So anything that is a little bit rugged, rough and ready gets smoothed off. So there's like little pyramids, little triangle-y bumps that are left over. Let's smooth off this beach as well. Yeah, look at that. That's much better. Much more interesting all of a sudden. Suddenly. Interest. Cool. And it doesn't matter because the smooth tool will normalize the height around it. Let's crank it up. Let's really just rip it up. Yeah, better. So the smooth tool is kind of a normalizing tool if you want to be a little bit more scientific about it. Is it subtle? Yes. Does it have an effect? Yes. Is it still deeper on one side than it is on the other? Boop, boop, boop. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. It has the effect. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's not as pronounced as it is on the other side of the beach, but it does now have like more of a wavy pattern to the beach. Good, good. And we're going to do the same thing here. Ooh, can we do the same thing here is the question. The answer is definitely. So we're going to look up to the sky. We're going to just turn the display ocean off. Good. The trouble is we have the brush. We have the brush icon even though we're on this cog. So we could think we're actually brushing stuff in and then not be doing it. Just suddenly I'm like, wait, is that what we're doing? No, we were definitely smoothing. We were definitely changing mount slider. Mount slider, speaking of which, is all the way up. Don't want that. Reading the terrain height. Reading it from here. Reading it up. even with that tiny amount, setting in the amount slider is enough to have like a massive effect on the brush. So I'm going to bring it out because we're going to smooth it off. Then we're going to go raise and lower amount slider even further down. I'm going to push that back on this side. There we go. There we go. Push it back here. And then raise. And then I want, obviously, I want that dry sand to start coming out. Yeah. That's better. Look, we got the sawtooth pattern on the beach. Suddenly it's less of a flat beach and more of a natural beach. Who'd have thought it? Are you doing a smoothing? We're doing a smoothing. We're cranking it up. We're cranking it up. We're making it bigger. We are making it bigger. So cool. We're going to smooth it off and we're going to lose a lot of height, some of the definition by normalizing all this stuff. Going to brush in there as well. Cool. I just want to make sure that there are no sort of weird triangle-y bumps, sort of peaks or anything like that, because we want to get rid of these peaks. We want to get rid of these bumps, and we're going to be decorating the beach anyway afterwards. We're not going to leave it as is. Yeah, now these have an effect. I'm going to raise and lower here. Move it down. Oh, almost that amount slider. Wow. Just like a heartbeat away from just completely annihilating something we've been working on for a little bit. I just want to brush it up here just to exaggerate the effect this is having. That's better. And then crank that up. And then smooth back. Smoothing back. Now this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Smoothing back. Yes! Oh yeah, alright. Let's turn the ocean back on. See what happens. Good. This whole area of the beach is a little bit more. So we got the higher. So the texture is done on height. Let's click on object. The texture is done on height. So the higher the texture is, the higher the ground is, the different texture you've got. So the closer it is to sea level, you get this sort of dark wet sand with a sort of shiny sheen to it. The further up you go, you get drier sand. Then close to the grass layer, you get the sand with all the footprints in it. Then you get the green grass. Then you get the scrub. So that's how that's done. Now the question is this too steep, this beach? That is a downside to doing this. Probably. No, I think is it still believable? Is the question? Actually, a very good question. Because it drops very, very sharply. It's something we have to test, I guess. Something we have to test. Ugh, yeah, that is not pleasant. Okay, so there are a few things that are kind of bothering me now. There's a little ridge there, so let's go to terrain. I was looking for the brush, and I'm like, it's not here. Oh, all right. So we got raise and lower. I'm gonna just raise around here. There we go. There we go. Let's do that till the sand texture changes a little bit, because I want that drier sand. There we go. Then we're going to smooth it off. Smoothing past. Right, so we're smoothing that back. That's better. It's subtle, but here's some dry sand. Here's some dry sand, and here's the sort of wet sand in the middle. So we've got a little dip there now. Little dip. Oh, wait, what? We don't have just a completely flat beach. No, of course not. Beaches aren't completely flat. There's a lot of stuff underneath the sand. The sand is literally just the top layer. Underneath the sand, terrifying things happen. So what we could probably do is lower and just kind of make sure the amount is right down. And just, ooh, that's raised. Just plane this back a bit. Just plane it back a bit. When we just kind of put the camera right up against the shoreline. I just want to move some of this sand. Being very careful about what we're doing. Bubbles! Bubbles! No! Okay, cool. Bubbles represent what would be a hole in the water mesh right on the coastline. You do not necessarily want that. It's bad news bears. So, okay, cool. I think we might just get away with this. Considering how narrow the space was, I'm just smoothing it back underwater. Kind of how narrow the distance between stuff we'd already made, and I don't particularly want to move all that, and stuff that wasn't already there. We've made the beach a lot wider, in theory. So when you click on objects, so in theory the beach is now a lot wider than it was. It was kind of this wide and empty, and now it's, well, we've got these groins which make the beach technically this wide. So even though most of what is going on is still back there, it's still no wider than it was. It might even be a little bit narrower. It feels a lot bigger. It feels a lot wider, because we've got these groins and they're stopping the sand from moving. They have a visible effect. Look, an actual visible effect on everything that's going on. And of course the player can walk along here and stand on the end and look around. Not an issue. Here again, walk along, look around, and like, oh yeah, it's a good jumping off point. Poof, straight into the sea to be eaten by a shark. Cool. Absolutely freaking brilliant. Look at that. And it's so easy. It's like 6 rocks and 2 walkways. And then just a bunch of very careful brushing and smoothing. And suddenly the beach changes from what it was. You've got this sawtooth pattern, this sort of wave pattern on the sand. It's very exaggerated as well. Yeah, I'm loving that. I'm absolutely loving that. That is so good. And we can still add palm trees and rocks and things to what we've created. Yeah, look. That has so much of an effect. So we've got rocks here, we've got a little headland, rocks and things. Yeah, I think this actually feels a lot better than it was. It kind of still feels like we need to do something to the side of the island. Maybe up here, maybe put a walkway up here, some steps and trees and things. And this, we still need to use this. This is the last piece in the puzzle. The last puzzle piece. What we can realistically get away with. I think this is going to be important for the next part of. I think we definitely need to focus on this hill. Hill 1. We definitely need to finish it off. Do something to it that is not going to prevent people from building up here, but is definitely going to tie it better in with the island. Tie it more in with the island. I think rocks and I think this piece are definitely going to come into play. Definitely. But yeah, I'm happy with what we've done today. I'm happy with what we've done. This definitely feels a lot better. So I'm going to leave it there. If you're liking this, definitely leave a little like. Leave a surprise. No, that's not what you do. You leave a like. You leave a subscribe. Oh my word! Why are my words just having trouble with words today? Leave a little like. Leave a little subscribe. If you're not subscribed already and you want to see more videos, definitely do that. And there are comments, and there's a Facebook, and there's a Twitter, and all that sort of lovely stuff. And you know what? I'll catch you next time.